Hello and welcome to Bilingual Family TV, the place to be if you want to create meaningful relationships with your children while learning Spanish. And today, we're going to answer a very popular question that I actually hear all the time from our bilingual family parents. And that is, when you speak to your child in Spanish or attempt to, maybe they don't want to reply in Spanish. So what do you do? I cannot think of a better person to answer this question than my own teacher, my mom, Claudia Cardoni. Thank you for coming.
Thank you for having me. This is fantastic.
Okay, so you did this with me. You taught me English, and from a very early age, probably 5.
Yes.
Around 5. Mm-hmm. And so, what were some of the things that you did to get me excited about learning English?
So. Well, basically, I think that we have very close relationship, and that helped a lot. So, just like normal activities that we did on the weekend or normal, I actually picked Saturdays for our English day, that I only spoke English on Saturdays. And I tried to make it fun with things that we used to have for breakfast, things that you already knew in Spanish, and I tried to introduce that vocabulary or language in English.
Okay.
So you knew what we were talking about or had the idea.
So you didn't say, okay, it's English time, we're going to practice the numbers, or we're going to do the colors, or we're going to talk about outer space.
No. Or repeat this or repeat that, or you want to know. No. I tried to make it just very informal, like, good morning, how are you today? And then in the beginning you were like, oh, it's English day. No, I can't understand. But after some practice, and I was introducing some other vocabulary and games and things that we saw outside, like the dogs or the flowers, just anything. But I tried to make it fun for you. And then, since we usually on Saturdays we visit grandma, so we had to take the bus. And then when we were on the bus, we talked a lot. So I tried to make that part of our English practice. Okay. And then it turned into something really fun for you. So when we get on the bus, you wanted to talk in English. Probably you didn't want to anybody else to know what we were talking about. But
yeah, we used to gossip about what people were wearing, and it was funny. I know it's probably not a very nice thing that I did, but she picked up on the fact that I enjoyed talking about other people and maybe making fun of people. But you know, she picked up on things that were meaningful to me, and I think that's what you were saying, that you need to pick. You can't do exactly what she did because it's not going to work with your child. It's about finding things that they love doing and making them fun. So
I even remember one of your cousins, Laura, she didn't like English very much. But when you guys get into your little dollhouse to play, like making cookies or play kitchen stuff, I tried to introduce that for her too. So she started learning a little bit and liking it a little bit. But it's basically make it fun, or whatever your kid likes the most. Like if it is, if you go hunting, or if it's summertime and you have a swimming pool, then you can decide that you can talk in Spanish only. When you go to swimming pool, you will only speak in Spanish. Or if you have pizza nights, then you can make that, hey, we can try Spanish, let's see, and this is going to be fun, and this is going to be cool. And that's how kids like it. You cannot go like, okay, today is English lesson.
You need to reply in Spanish, and you need to...
No, just make it fun, informal, easy for them, and fun for both. And it's also like family time or games time or play time.
I think something that I'm probably already hearing from parents, obviously I can't hear you, but is but I don't speak Spanish well enough to speak to my child in Spanish. Like, I'm not fluent. So now that I look back, you were not fluent in English when you were teaching me, and your grammar wasn't perfect, and your pronunciation wasn't perfect. It's taken it's still because your native language is Spanish. So did you worry about that? Did you worry that you were going to say something wrong, or were you just...
No, I never worried about my pronunciation until I got here to USA, and I noticed a big difference. But no, never before. I just wanted you to learn something different, to learn something that I knew, and maybe we can share that part. And also probably in my plans, like for the future, I knew how important it was being bilingual. It was like a double opportunity for anybody in more open cultures to other cultures and stuff. So I wanted you to learn, because for me it was fun. For me it was cool to know a second language. So I wanted you to do the same.
And that's what I think is so important, that if you just want them to learn Spanish to be smarter, period, just so that they can be smarter, that's not going to be a long-term, you're not going to have long-term results. But if it's about the relationship and about learning something together, maybe you're not fluent, but you can learn together. That is just, it's wonderful, because that's all the language is about sharing something, having a relationship, because why else would you learn another language other than to talk to people and have conversations? And so now that brings me to another thing, and that is, okay, so I'm speaking to my child in Spanish the best that I can. I'm trying to use these phrases, but they're answering in English. So did that happen with me? Was I answering in Spanish when you were speaking in English?
Yes, that showed me that you understood. And I was happy with that in the beginning. I was happy with that. And I mean, it takes some time until you go like, okay, I also want the reply back in English. So include more activities, more fun, try to find out things that you enjoyed a lot, and do those activities in English. But never, in the beginning, you don't want your child go straight to answer back in the other language. You just make it fun. It's a lot more fun when you do it just for fun, just for having something different to do with your kid, than when you just want them to be bilingual and
forceful. Yeah. Okay. Well, that's good. I also think something that it's really been helpful with our children at Bilingual Family is, yes, absolutely, you have to understand that there's going to be a long silent period, just like babies. I mean, babies get a year to a year and a half of full immersion in their native language, and nobody's expecting them to start replying back on their first day or second day of being born, because we understand that they're not ready yet. And so it's the same thing with the second language. You want to allow time for them to just absorb the language, and just being able to understand, like if you say something in Spanish and they reply in English, but they understood, that's huge. So once you're past that time, say they've been acquiring the language for a year and a half, and you know that they can reply. Something that's worked for us is giving them two options. Like when you're asking a question, if you give possible answers, like, would you like orange juice or milk for breakfast? You gave the vocabulary that is the possible answers.
Because I remember when I offered about breakfast, I gave you like 5 different options on how to make the eggs. Like the boiled eggs, and then I make the body language to show you what boiled eggs was, and if you want it hard or soft, or if you want to scramble, or if you want to just the sunny side up. But I find a way, like with the body language, to show you.
Act it out. Yeah, I remember that.
Or you want orange juice, or you want chocolate, and maybe how we
make the chocolate in Colombia. Yeah.
So
fresh squeezed orange juice.
Yes.
yeah, I think that's so important to also something that you just brought up is acting out what you're trying to say instead of translating. Because if you translate, you pretty much
Going back.
you're going backwards. Yeah, because then children learn that they don't really need to try to understand what you're saying because you're just going to translate it afterwards. So if you use, it's called TPR, total physical response, of using all that you can, signals, signs. We use a lot of baby signs in bilingual family. But using whatever means. I remember you used to like draw things. If I didn't understand, she would draw them or
Point at,
or use popular things. Like, for example, if what I use at Bilingual Family sometimes is if I'm saying something is slow, I say despacio como una tortuga, and I do the sign for tortuga. Or for the older children, when Despicable Me was really popular, I would say despacio como Dr. Nefario. So using popular things that they are used to connect with their new knowledge is also helpful. So I think we covered most of the questions that our families have and families around the world have in raising bilingual children. But if you have any other questions, leave them in the comments below. And also, once you try some of these things that we've talked about, tell us how that worked out with your children. So we hope that this was helpful. Thank you so much for coming.
Thank you.
She's
Gracias.
my best English teacher that I ever had. So thank you for coming. I love you.
I love you too.